and I'll share with you, share. Okay, so what I'd like to do is to start off with, okay, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you see a lot of lines down here. Well, believe it or not, that's all the rebars that we start to put in the stairs. That's why you see these here. If for whatever reason you don't want to see that in that view, you can simply pick one. You can right click and you put hide element in view, and then you can pick the other ones, right click, hide element in view. You don't have to hide the category because in case there is some rebars you want to show in this view, you might want to do it. And then of course, so if ever you want to clear it up, that's how you do it. Now, what I want to do is, I don't know if you noticed that, I hope you're all at level 88.33. Okay, make sure you're at level 88.33. And if you don't have what I have in front of me and you see like hidden lines, and that's because I went and I tweaked my view range, and that's why I was able to. What I like to do is, of course, okay, like if you look at section AA, okay, we have a slab on grade in here, okay? So there's a slab on grade in here. And there's also, there's one at level 8, at this level here, 88.33. And then we have another slab on grade at 92.33, okay? And if we don't put that in, when you do your cross sections, you won't see that on your cross section. So we might as well put it in. And then after that, when we'll do the cross section, we'll be able to see the slab in our cross section. So what I'll do now is, okay, so if you're at elevate, you should be at level 88.33, and hopefully you're in this corner of your drawing, okay? Now, for you to be able to put in a slab, now I just want you to remember, okay, you got to go to the Structures tab. Let me move this over here. Okay, you got to go to Structures tab. Now, for Revit, a slab on grade, and today the more accurate way of saying a slab on grade is called a floor on ground. But I don't want to use the word floor on ground because then you accidentally go and take these structural floors here. So when you have a concrete slab on the ground or on grade, in other words, on some kind of backfill or even on the earth, then this is where you have to go, okay? Now, there are two types of slabs on grades. The ones that you kind of combine a little footing along the edge, and this is very typical in Florida. That's what they do because they have no basements down there. They simply thicken the edge here so that when they put the exterior walls, it acts as a footing and a slab at the same time. We have footings here, so we don't need this. What we need is this structural slab. So we're going to pick this structural slab, okay? Now, if you look at the cross section AA, they say that slab is 6 inches thick. So since I only have a 4-inch thick slab here, I'm going to edit this one. Of course, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to duplicate the slab because I want to keep the 4-inch because we have one 4-inch slab somewhere in our drawing, in our model. And I'm going to simply call it 4-inch. This is just a name so I can know what type it is in the family. The 2 is irrelevant, so I'll take it off. Press OK. So this is just renaming, and then this is where you edit the type and you change the thickness to 6. So therefore, and I press OK and press OK. And then now I've created a 6-inch type in this family. Now, of course, because it's rectangular, the easiest, I hate this pull down menu, the easiest drawing tool is, of course, a rectangular one. So I'm going to take this one. And then I'm just going to pick, I'm going to go from this corner here, corner where the 2 walls intersect, to the corners of the 2 walls intersect, okay? Now, if I put it right there, what's going to happen is it's going to put it exactly at elevation 88.33, and it's going to go down 6 inches. But in reality, okay, if you look at the cross section, okay, the slab is sitting on top of that footing. So what you should do, okay, is you can press OK for now, okay, finish, and there is a slab. Now, I'm going to draw a cross section and I'll show you what happened. And I want to show you that you don't panic. You'll notice how the program actually cut around where the column is, okay? So I'm going to create a cross section. So in other words, to create a cross section, I can take this quick express menu up here, or I can go to view. I can go to view. Where's my view? There's my view. No, okay, and then I can take this one. It doesn't matter which way I do it. I will get exactly the same result. So I'm going to create a cross section, which eventually I'm going to be used to help me do the cross section AA. So I'm going to create a cross section here. Okay. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to the depth. I want to go only that deep. In other words, I don't want to see more than that in my cross section. Okay, and then of course, if I want to go to that cross section, I can double click on the tag, and there's a cross section. Okay. Now, for some reason, my slab is all the way up here. Oh yeah, I know why. Because when we put in the slab underneath, beside the stairs, we had put an offset value. Anyways, so now, first things first. Now, once I'm at my cross section here, okay, first thing I want to do is, I know that I'm going to be taking this view, and when I drag it onto my sheet for it to become part of my drawing, I'm going to drag it in at 3/8 of an inch is equal to a foot. So the first thing I'm going to do is adjust the scale of the view. So therefore, all my annotations will be done at the right scale. So I'm going to change my scale here to 3/8 of an inch is equal to a foot. Okay. At the same time, I don't need all of these levels in my view. So therefore, I'm going to pick one. I'm going to right click, and I'm simply going to say hide. Now I'm going to hide the whole category in the view. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the size of the view that I'm going to be dragging onto, okay? The size of the view I'm going to be dragging onto my sheet. So I think that that would be big enough. This is too high for nothing. So this is where I adjust the view. So when I drag it on my sheet, it just makes it a little bit easier for me to place it. And I'm going to leave it, and then like at any time, I can come back and adjust it. Now you'll notice that my slab is up here, instead of sitting on the foundation. And that's because if I pick my slab here, and I go to the properties, you see the offset is at 10 inches. Well, the offset shouldn't be at 10 inches because that was the other slab we had put at 10 inches. This offset should be at 6 inches. So I'm just going to change that to 6, press apply, there, and that's exactly where the slab has to be. Now, for some reason, I kind of lose that line, but don't worry about it, okay? Now, before we go back to this, what I like to do, okay, so leave this like this. What I like to do is I'm going to come to my sections here. This is my section 2 right now, okay? Because my section 1, and I'm going to, okay, I believe this is my section 2. Yeah, this is my section 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rename this right away. So this way, when I drag it on my sheet, it's going to have the right name. And I'm going to call this one Section AA. A dash, oops, sorry. A dash. That's just so that when I drag it on my sheet, I won't have to go and adjust the name after. Okay. At the same time, if I want to know where I'm at in my view browser, I know exactly where I am. Now let's leave that like that for now. Okay. And let's go back to level 91.33. Because we're not ready to work on this because we have to put in the other slab before we can work on this. So, so if I go to 91.33, there's my level 91.33, okay? Now you'll notice that when I'm at 91.33, because I put a slab in here, I don't see the edge of the footing because the footing is underneath the slab. So the slab is there, okay? And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna pan out here because, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to now put a slab on this floor. And of course, I start with elevation. Right now, I'm at level 91.33. And I know that the slab is going to be, the top of the slab is at 92.33. Therefore, the offset is going to be 12 inches. So but it's the same slab thickness. So I'm going to go back to structures. And I'm going to go back to slabs again, because it's not a floor. Go to slabs, and I'm going to go to structural slab, And of course, it's still a 6-inch slab. Now, I can use, there's two things you can do, guys. You can use a rectangle, and you can go from there to there, and you put a slab over the whole area. And then you can cut this slab out as a shaft. You can do that. That's one option. Or if you don't want to have to cut out the slab as a shaft, what you can do is simply, when you're going to draw it, just draw it so that you draw the perimeter of what you want. So in this case, since I don't want to cut the shaft, I'm going to take this tool here, okay? And I know that my slab starts on top of this wall here. And then I'm going to go to this corner here. And I'm going to go to the corner because the program is going to, and then I'm going to go to the other corner.
Sorry, which tool did you use, sir?
Just a straight line. I'm using straight lines. I'm not using a rectangle. Okay, I'm using the straight line one. There's only a straight line.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I'm just going to do, like, I'm going to follow the perimeter of where I want my slab to be. And of course, I have to go to this wall here. I'm doing this so I don't have to then go back and cut out the shaft there and there. Okay, so now I've done that. I'm happy with it. So I can, and then of course, I'm going to change the offset to 12 inches because that's where it is. So this way I don't have to go back and apply it. Okay, and I say apply. And of course, I'm ready and I click it. Now, do not ever extend the walls to your slabs. Let the slabs be independent. Just say don't attach. Okay, and now you got your slab in there. Okay, now if I go back to my section AA, see, now I see the slab sitting on top of my wall. So that's what I want, okay? And that's where, you know, and the only other slab I'm gonna put in for you now, and then I'm gonna come back here and I'll get you started on this, okay? So there's my, now you see, so that by putting that instant or that element in my model, when I did the cross section, it's already there, okay? We're gonna come back to this. I'm gonna sort of like get you started on section AA, and then after that, I'm going to leave it up to you to do BB, CC, DD, and so on and so on. I just want to make sure on DD we have put in the floor, but in case we didn't. Now, the only thing I'm going to do now is that if you look at BB, CC, DD, there's a 6-inch floor sitting on top of the wall, okay? So if you want that 6-inch floor slab to be in all your cross sections, not have to draw those annotation lines, then what we'll do is we'll go put a floor in at that level. And this way, whenever you do the cross sections, that will already be there. So to do that, I'm going to go now to level, well, my level 102, which you guys might be calling foundation plan. Okay, so you go to level 102, and of course now you're putting in a structural slab. In other words, it's not a slab on grade, and therefore, okay, before I go on, okay, anyways, it's gonna be on the video, you guys can review the video. So now you're not putting in a slab. That's only for the concrete that's resting on some kind of a backfill or on the ground. You are actually putting in a floor, okay? And of course, you're putting in a structural floor. Now this is an 8-inch generic floor, okay? Our floor is not 8 inches, our floor is 6 inches. So I'm gonna edit the type, and I'm gonna call it a 6-inch floor. I might wanna duplicate this because I might have an 8-inch floor somewhere else, but I'll just duplicate this. And I'm gonna call this a 6-inch floor. And of course, that's good. And now I'm going to edit and change this to 6. And that's when now that type in the family becomes a 6 instead of an 8. Okay, and that's all I want to do. Like, now, guys, remember, the more information you put in this type in the family, like for example, you can change here the structural material. You can put the actual strength of the concrete and so on and so on. Okay, but press OK. Now, I'm ready to put the floor, and of course, the easiest tool to do that is simply the rectangle. Now, I'm at level 102. Now, the last time I put the floor in this little space in here, I had an offset of -5 feet 10 inches. So that is no longer the case. I have absolutely no offset from level 102. I'm going to change that. And you'll notice that with Revit, any value that you used previously, except for rebars, which would have been really nice, it keeps that as a default value. And for some reason, it doesn't do it when you're placing the rebars. Really stupid. So I'm going to take this drawing tool, the rectangle, zoom into one of the corners here. Okay. And then go to the other corner. And then if I'm happy with the perimeter of the floor slab I want to put in, I press the check mark. And if it's S never, okay, I'll save the project, okay. Oh, sorry, it's taking, okay. Would you like, no, you don't attach the walls. Let the walls be independent of the floor. Say don't attach. And there you go. Now you got your floor in there, okay? So if now you, for example, this will be section DD. So if I do a section here, you'll see that you'll be able to see the slab here and the slab here. So if I do a section, and of course DD goes this way, so I'm going to zoom in, and the DD goes here to there about, okay? And of course, you just want to see that part of DD. You don't want to see that back wall, or yeah, you do want to see that back wall. So therefore, you're going to bring it right up to about there. And therefore, if you come here, so there you see, now you got the slab here, you got the slab there, you got the slab there. Now you're ready to complete this detail, okay? So that you can now go in there, put your rebars, put everything else. There's your opening, okay? And there you have it. So now you're ready. Now, what I would suggest is that this one here, of course, you would rename it to section DD. So therefore, when you drag it on your sheet, rename, what is rename, okay. Section D. So there, so I know, so even this way when I'm in my view browser, okay. So this was your section AA, this is your section DD, okay. Now I've put in basically the other elements that would help me draw my cross sections, and therefore I'm pretty well now, okay. And of course, what you're gonna do, let's go back to level 102, or if you change the name, just go back to the level 102, elevation 102. And of course, what you can do, okay, now you notice they have a section CC here and a section CC there. You don't make two sections because you're just gonna need one, okay? And you have a section BB here. So what you can do is you go back to your view. So you might as well start preparing your sections because you're gonna be, okay? You're gonna have to take these and drag them into your, excuse me, you're gonna have to work on them. So you might as well make your BB here and then make your, if you want, you can make your CC here. But remember the view depth of your, like for example, I'm gonna do BB, for example. So here's my section. My BB is gonna be here, okay? And of course, BB, when I look at BB, I notice that it shows the footing and the thing. So therefore I'm gonna wanna see the footing, and therefore I'm gonna drag it up to there. And that should basically, like there I go, there I have my footing. And of course, now in this case here, we had put some reinforcement in here. So if you don't wanna see the reinforcement in your BB, so you just click on it and you say, hide and view the element, not the rebars, otherwise you won't, and then you can just clear it up and start putting your rebars. And like I said, you should get rid of the hatching. The easiest way to get rid of the hatching is simply pick the element, click, override graphics, and then of course, this one you can do by category. You just take off all the surface patterns, whether it's in the foreground or as a cut section, which would be here. Apply, okay. So you should clean up the hatching. It only makes it like this, okay. And of course, the same thing. So you start, so, and you see we've already put in the slab here, okay, and that represents the column. So that's pretty well BB, and then all you have to do after that is put the reinforcement in. So this is what you're gonna do. And then of course, what you can do is section 2, rename it right away to BB. Okay, rename it to section B-B, and therefore when you go into your view browser, you'll be able to easily go to the different one, and then of course you're going to make another one for CC. Now let's go back to AA. Okay, so now you're ready. You're ready to sort of start working on this one. Okay, so what I like to do is, first of all, okay, is I like to finish my line work before I put my reinforcement. So I don't want to see the hatching here. So I'm going to click on the element, right click, overwrite graphics, and of course I'm going to go by category because I want everything not to show here. And of course I'll remove in the foreground, in the background, even for the cut patterns. Apply. Okay. Now, so that's gone. So that's been all cleaned up. Now, you'll notice that what we can do, okay, first thing we're going to do is put in those break lines in here. Okay, we'll put the break lines, so therefore that's already going to be into our detail. And for the break lines, we go to annotate. We go to component detail. And since I've already, loaded that family into this file, I just have to, okay, it's already there, and there it is. Now I can put this wherever I want. I'm going to put it here, for example. And if you remember, and I'm going to put one here because we're going to need one on both sides. And now I'm going to escape. Now I take this one with the space bar. I take the space bar, and that's not in the right direction. That's not in the right direction. That's in the right direction. So there you go. See? Now, if you want to if you want to play with the actual break sign, okay, you simply click on it, and you can, stretch it out a bit. You can make it a little bit smaller. It's up to you. I think that that's nice enough. And you notice that I still see some lines back here. That's because, okay, and that's because this thing is not covering the whole thing. So if I click on this and I move this back, that should cover that, and that should get rid of that line. Now, I know that I do not want to see this in my view, so I'm going to click on this. But you might as well leave it for now to make sure that your annotation stays within this area. And at the very end, you click on it, you right click, and you say hide in view. So this way, when you drag it on your sheet, you won't have to worry about it. Or you could come back on this view, click on it, and it's automatically going to remove it on your sheet, whichever way you want to do it. So we fixed that one. Like, I don't see my line here. That's because, okay, so I click on this one. And again, with the space bar, I rotate it. That's the right direction, okay? And leave like that. So here we go. So now I got my break lines in. Now, if you find that these are too long, understand if you don't like the fact that these are long, well, you can, you can tweak them. Okay, if you find these are too long, you can tweak them. Okay, so these are your break lines. Okay, now has anybody downloaded the US library, or do you have that in your program? Good. Anybody else? I see Jimmy put his hand up. Anybody else?
It.
Pardon?
I have it.
You have it. Do you know where to find a break line in your library?
You showed this last class, but I don't remember now.
But I just want to make sure I showed at least in one video. So if ever you want to go back, you'll be able to find it. Do you want me to show you right now? It won't take me long.
No, you told us before.
Okay, so you know where to find it. In other words, you go to detail, you go to one general, and then it's there, right? Okay, so you know where it is. Good. Thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, now guys, I'm pretty well, like all I want to do now is I want to play around with this, finish my line work. So therefore after I can put my reinforcement in. So with here, you'll notice that the slab gets cut here, right? So if you want, you can do two things, okay? You can go back to view.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
I'm having a little problem when I'm trying to place my slab. Well, whenever I'm going into section AA, it's even though I put the area out for the elevator shaft, it's showing me that the second slab is going all the way through the wall for some reason.
Okay, so what we'll do is that leave it like that for now. Okay, I'm just going to finish this detail, and then after that, we're going to share your screen, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll try to see where the little problem is. How's that?
All right.
Okay, so for now, just don't worry about it. Like all I'm going to do is get you guys going on section AA, and then after that, you're going to be able to do BB, CC, DD, and so on and so on. Okay. So I just want to review some of the things we did. Okay. So you notice like this here. Okay. If you look at the section, there's a little bit of a key in here that goes down here to make sure that. Okay. Now, what you can do, of course, is you go to View, and if you remember, go to View. That command. Cut profile, right? So you can pick this, and what you can do from this midpoint, no, you don't have to worry about it. You can go down about 3 inches, and then you can go there. Now, you see where the arrow is pointing? If I leave that there, that means it's only going to keep that, okay? But I want to keep this side, and therefore I'm going to press OK, and I kept the right side. So that cleans that up, okay? And of course, okay, so now what I can do is, of course, I do some line work, understand? I want to make some lines invisible. I want to make that one invisible. Now that one's gone. And now I'm ready to do some annotation lines. Okay, now I'm on line, so therefore I'm going to go from there to there. And then I'm going to add another, and I hope you guys realize when you're doing the annotation, you just have to escape once and you're still in the command, and there you go. Now you've cleaned that up. That's nice, okay? And now you're ready to do one last line detail, and that's the little key in here. So we'll do the same thing. We go to View, and I'm going to cut the profile, okay? So I want to cut this, okay? So I'm going to go out about maybe 2 inches, go down about 2 inches, go over about 4 inches. Like I said, guys, this is just for graphical representation, okay? 2 inches, and now escape. Now I don't want to keep that profile, I want to keep the other one. Press OK, and there you go. Now I'm going to erase this line in here. So I'm going to do some line work, annotate, okay, invisible. I want to get rid of that line. That's nice. And now all I need to do is add a little line, annotate, add a little line detail, make sure I'm on line from there to there. And now pretty well I got my geometry all worked out. You guys agree? Now you guys remember how to put the hatching in, okay? So I'll leave that to you. If you don't, I can show you how to do that one more time. It's up to you. And all I'm going to do is put in one rebar right now. Okay, and then I'll let you guys do the rest of the stuff. So now I am, like, for example, you guys remember how to do the hatching? Do you want me to review that? Yes or no?
Yes, please.
Okay, now for the hatching, you got to go to annotate. You got to go to region, okay? And you want to fill a region, okay? Now you have to create a region. So the easiest way for me to create a region is with this rectangle here. So I'm going to create a region from about, I won't go touch that. I'm going to create a region from about there to about there. That should be enough for my region, okay? And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press OK, that's the region I want to fill, right? Now, of course, I can, excuse me, I can edit the boundaries right now if I want, or I can do it after. I'm going to edit the boundaries right now because I don't want to see this line. Okay. And I hold the control button. I don't want to see this line. And I hold the control button. I don't want to see that line. And I'm going to make these invisible. So I'm going to get rid of that. Oops. What did I do? I left it on thin lines. My mistake. Anyway, I'll come back and do it. So that's okay. So there they go. Now, of course, this is not the pattern I want. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go override graphics. I'm going to do it by element because if you do it by category, it's going to fill up the little regions in a stupid program. I'm going to do it by element, and unfortunately, now of course, I'm going to change the pattern. I'm going to change it to Earth. Now I'm going to double click on the Earth pattern right away. And I'm going to go change the scale. Because this is no longer 1/4 inch, this is 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to change it to 0.375. In other words, 3 divided by 8. Oops, I should get rid of that 1 decimal point, sorry. I'm going to change the scale right away for this view. Okay, and of course, all the other 3/8 are going to be okay. Okay, and apply, and there you go. Now, don't break your head. Like if you want, you can take this, you can say copy. You can take it from here and bring it up here. So that's how you can get it in both. Oops. And then of course, because it's by element, you're just gonna have to right click. And that's the thing, I'm telling you guys, this program sometimes override graphics by element. Don't do it by category. Of course, the surface, you just want, because you've already changed the scale, you don't have to change it anymore. Just click there, okay, apply, okay. There you go. Okay, so now you got your hatching in. Now we're ready to put in some reinforcing steel. So let's go to structures, and we're ready to put in some reinforcing steels. And of course, what I like to draw, any hook, I like to actually draw it in, okay? Now remember, when you go to rebars, okay, the first thing you worry about is cover, okay? You wanna see what the cover is. Now, if you're happy with the cover here, you'll leave it the way it is. It's pretty good, so leave it there, okay? That's okay, so the cover is good. Now, what we're gonna do is, like if you look at the drawing, and if you wanna do it accurately, the drawing says that you have number 4s at every 12 inches in both directions. The vertical ones and the horizontal ones are number 4 at every 12 inches. So what I'm gonna do is, of course, change this bar to number 4 instead of a number 3. And I'm going to change here to a maximum spacing and change this to 12 inches. 12 inches. Okay, oops, I put foot 12 inches. That's going to be a little bit more. Now, I can put in the round ones first, perpendicular to cover, which will give me the round ones, the heads, okay? And of course, I can come in here, oops. Oh yeah, sorry, I have to change the bar type. Okay, I have to come up here and I have to put it to straight. So here we go. I couldn't see that because this menu was in the way. I should minimize this. There you go. I hope you guys can hear me. I minimized my, this thing's only in the way, so I'll leave it up here. I forgot to put that there, and there you go, okay? So I'm gonna leave that about there. I can move it at any time. Now, I'm ready to draw some straight bars, right? Sketch. And of course, unfortunately, it's not even worth it, okay? So right now, you notice that this bar here, okay, is gonna have to come down a bit. So I'm gonna bring it down into the wall, and that's where it's gonna be. So that's good enough, okay? Now, as far as the vertical bar goes, I'm gonna sketch that one. So I'm gonna go back to rebars. This now I'm gonna making it parallel to the cover because I wanna see the bar. I wanna see the bar parallel to the cover, okay? And it's number 4s, and again, I'm going to ask for a maximum spacing of 12 inches. And now I'm ready to sketch. So what I'm going to do is come down here where I want to sketch. Okay, so I'm going to come down here from down here. I'm simply going to go up to about, well, go slightly below the slab here, go over about there, press the green check sign, and there you go. And now you've got your rebars. And now if you really want to get if you really want to get technical about it, what you can do, okay, is like, for example, here, if you look at the level of, if you go to fine, it shows you the size of the bar, the actual size of the bar of a 1/2 inch, okay? Now, if you want, you can, you can take this and, you can move it over just a touch if you want, but it's not even worth it though, you understand? If you want, but there you go. And then of course, remove it back to, change it back to coarse, and there you go. So there you have it. So there's your rebars. And then of course, the rest now is up to your annotation. And remember, when you're annotating a bar that you're showing a cross section, you always have to draw a circle. You go to annotate, you do a line detail, And then of course you use a circle to draw the line detail. And you come in here and you make it, you go there and then you say escape. Now you're ready to point to that for your annotation. So always show a circle. When you're pointing to the bars that are parallel, like these ones, you can point straight to it. But when you're pointing to a bar, you should draw a circle and point to the circle so that you don't confuse whether I'm pointing to the circle or to the bar. That's the right graphics for reinforcing concrete. Okay. And of course, now you're ready to go ahead and put in your, you can put in your, your leaders. Okay. So you can start here. And guys, remember, you do what you just do it, okay? And then this is number 4s at every 12 inches. And that's what's the nice thing about setting your scale at the right scale. All this printing and everything else is going to be done at the right. Okay. And there you go. And now you're ready to add one of these, or you can use one of these, okay? And of course, you have none, and close, and there you go. So now you got, okay? So there you go. And now the rest, of course, you're gonna have your dimensioning and all that. And, so for example, always use a line, for your dimensioning. And then like you can, so, and there you go. And then you're starting to do your second, complete it. Once it's complete, then let's go, once it's, you guys are going to complete it. Then once it's all complete, all annotated, let's go down, let's create another sheet. Okay. Let's go on sheet, right click, you put new sheet. Now, still put it on a 17 by 22. Okay. Now, this one you should call it assignment number 3. Is it? No, this is assignment number 7. So rename it to assignment number 7, okay? Name, assignment, oops, sorry. Number 7, so therefore the name's gonna go in there right away. Is this our 3rd drawing? Or is this
I think
our
it's
2nd?
8, sir.
Pardon?
I think it's number 8, no?
Well, in other words, in this series, we had 1, 2, yeah, this is our 3rd drawing. So leave it as S3, right? So you can leave, like, in other words, S1 was be the floor plan, the foundation plan, S2 was elevation AE, and this would be sheet number 3. And now you're ready to, for example, now since I've already, in my view browser, this is AA, I drag it in, and I simply come and place it. If I'm happy, well, there you go. Okay, and then you drag in BB, and you drag in CC, DD, and so on and so on. So, and now you're ready, and like I said, if you did your model correctly, you should be minimizing the amount of time to do your geometry. It's going to require a bit of course, line work, because like I said, that's one of the drawbacks of Revit, is that when it comes to line work, because this is what your drawing should look like. If you wouldn't have done this, it wouldn't have read this well, okay? And there you go. So once you finish putting all the annotation, drag it in. Like I said, if you shouldn't be seeing this, so I can go back to AA, and this is what I like about, okay, this is what I like about Revit. If I go back to AA, okay, if I go back to AA now, and of course, I'm going to do it now, but you should do this at the very end. I right click on this, I put hide element in view. Now, if I go back to my sheet, it's gone, okay? So there you go. And then after that, you're going to have your BB, you're going to have your CC, your DD. Now, FF is the same thing. FF, remember, you're just cutting through the beam, and you just have to put some reinforcement in the beam. And that's it. So does anybody have any questions? Because that's all I'm going to have, I have to say for today. Does anybody have any questions before I start helping people with their little drawings? So nobody has any questions? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And I have one chat. What's the chat about? Oh, okay. So now, guys, who had a question? Christopher. Okay, hold on a second. Let me put Yeah, let me put multiple. Do you want to share your screen?
I can't really share my screen, but it's okay. I managed to figure it out. That's fine.
Because it's hard for me to know, you understand, Christopher? You can try to describe for me and I'm going to be guessing. So you can't share your screen with me? Okay.
Well, I just used the invisible lines and model lines to fix the problem. It's okay.
Okay, so in other words, you just, sometimes Christopher is probably the best solution. You just hide everything and just redraw everything. It's probably faster, right? Yeah, I understand. Okay. I'm going to pause the recording.